Welcome to Information Security for new employees. We're really glad you're here at the county. Let's get started. Attackers coming to steal our information don't normally attack in this fashion, because if they did, we would see them. It would be obvious. We'd put up our defenses, and we'd fight hard to fend them off. No, instead they come knocking quietly, pretending to be a friend. Sometimes begging for you to check out a new cool website or open a document with some curious pictures in it. But more often they prey on fear. There's a problem with your tax return. You need to review the attachment and enable editing to learn more, or your account will be disabled if you don't verify it as soon as possible. And so often we simply hand them the keys to our computers, to our networks, to our personal information, and to our lives. Here's a great story from our friends at Cisco.
How did you decide to become a hacker?
Well, I'm not really sure what it means to become a hacker. That's like some guy in a hoodie who types really fast and stays up all night writing code and cracking passwords. It's not me. I just spy on people and see what makes them click. It's not a bad job.
Mark Hanning, CEO of Qualicart, set to report earnings after their blockbuster IP.
So you consider this a job?
I put a lot of work into this. I'm not lazy. It takes research to figure out the key players, learn all about them, their families, their friends, what they care about. You have to understand the company's organization. I get a lot of my information from the sales department because they're always so quick and eager. They're hungry. People trust too easily. They don't look at the details. I do. Details matter. That's what I'm good at. It has to look completely believable. It has to look familiar. This is where research is important. It's not some generic piece of spam. It's an email from their boss with their company's signature. It's written in the voice of the boss. It's what he would say if he were writing this.
What about the malware itself? How does that work?
Somebody else out there already wrote all the code that does the actual attack. I'm just using it in the attachment. My skill is in my ability to get a bunch of people to click on that attachment. I always wonder what it's like when the whole thing unfolds on their end, when the panic sets in.
Please leave your message after the beep.
Hey, this is Rajiv in finance. Call me as soon as you get this. Something's up with my laptop. I can't.
Katie, are you on your way into the office? Something's going on with our file servers.
It's Karen in HR. Our benefits dashboard seems really slow. We're getting calls from users on it. Give me a call when you get this.
Joining conference now. Apparently, there's a malware attack targeting our main...
It's ransomware. They're holding us hostage.
We're locked out of everything. I can't even check my phone. What about the backup?
That will take days.
We need this fixed now. Pay it. We don't have a choice. We're reporting earnings in 2 hours.
But how do we know that they'll...
Pay it. Put every single person on getting us back up and running. That's the only priority now.
Okay, it's done.
I have the decrypt key. Mark, we have a big problem. The ransomware was just to distract us. They got inside. They got everything. Customer data, financials, everything.
Qualicart is reeling today from the news that hackers have released the personal information of nearly
The
2
Nasdaq
million
closed
customers.
lower today, led by Qualicart, which was down 14% on news that the recent data breach may be far worse than the company
Its stock
originally
fell to a
acknowledged.
new all-time low on news that CEO Mark Hanning is stepping down after what is turning out to be one of the worst breaches of personal information in recent history.
Do you feel bad about releasing the personal information? All the financials? All the money that was lost?
All I did was get the files. I'm not the one that decided to release them. I'm not the one that shorted the stock. Somebody else had their reasons for that. It's above my pay grade. I was paid to do a job, and I did it well. And that's what's expected of anyone, isn't it? Anyway, markets bounce back.
Attackers are getting better and better these days at creating really well-crafted emails that are very hard to determine if they're real or not. And that's one of the reasons why it's so important to verify. In this particular instance, an attacker had cloned the Office 365 web interface. When they sent links to people, they saw it as an Office 365 login and tricked them into surrendering their credentials to him. We had another situation where those surrendered credentials were actually used for spamming other county employees, and they received emails that looked like this, saying there's a pending incoming document from a known user. Of course, there is some misspelling here that gives it away, but a lot of people fell for this. And when they clicked on the link, they were taken to a fake website that looked like OneDrive and basically given multiple ways to authenticate. And this is where credential stealing is so common these days, and trying to trick you into surrendering your credentials, surrendering your account so that it can be used by an attacker for various purposes. That's one of the reasons why the most important antivirus that exists is in you. It is your brain. Your ability to be able to look and say, hey, is this legitimate or not? Is this file something that I should even try to open? Is this link something that I should even trust? And the most important thing that we can do as users is if we receive anything that is unusual, anything that is unexpected, that requests us to act on it. In other words, open a file that we're not sure about, click on a link, surrender our credentials, whatever it might be, the most important thing we can do is verify. Because if we verify, then 9 times out of 10, we're going to be safe. And sometimes the verification does not mean replying to the email of the original sender. Because if their account is under the control of a hacker, the hacker's going to respond and going to say, oh yeah, it's fine. What we want to do is we want to contact the individual who sent that, preferably by giving them a phone call. Let's talk about passphrases, because passphrases are really the only way to make sure that your account's password cannot be easily guessed. Passphrases have been around for a long time. In this particular case, we see a short password that can be cracked in 3 minutes. As a matter of fact, most 8 to 9 character passwords can be cracked easily within a day. Whereas if you go with a passphrase that includes spaces, a sentence is what we're looking at here when we talk about passphrases. As you can see, the time to crack goes up significantly. And ultimately, it would make it impossible for someone to easily guess. So what we do recommend is that you use a passphrase in the form of some sort of a sentence. Maybe it's the words to a favorite song, maybe it's the words to a favorite poem, and you personalize it a little bit. You don't want to use a passphrase that's easily guessable like 7 years ago. But if you create some personalization to it, it makes it much harder to guess. Now, in the instance of a county of Monterey, we have a password policy that is a minimum of 15 characters. Now, you might say, wow, that's pretty long. Well, if you're using a passphrase, you're going to go past 15 easily. And you'll find that you'll be able to type the sentence pretty easily. We do not require capital letters and numbers or special characters, so you can use all lowercase if you want. And the passwords are regularly tested to determine if they're crackable or not. If you are a member of a department that is eligible for this, and you can contact your department's information security officer and ask, if your password does pass, then you will never have to change it again. And that's one of the nice things about this particular password policy, is that a nice strong passphrase, we're not going to force you to change it. One of the things that is really important is that you don't use the same passphrase in multiple accounts. Like, for example, if you log into your machine in the morning and then you're also logging in, say, to a site where you're dealing with constituent information or health information or criminal justice information, it's very important that you don't use the same passphrase in those instances. Because if your passphrase were to be compromised in some way, shape, or form, then they'd be easily able to reuse that in a site where you definitely don't want them to go. So you want to have those things different, but how do you store them all? We recommend the use of a password manager. Password managers are safe and they are very, very, very useful. You should contact your department's information security officer or your manager to see what your department's policy is on the use of a password manager. Let's talk briefly about Wi-Fi safety, because this is really important. A lot of people connect to county information in various locations, and oftentimes they use Wi-Fi. Well, the issue with Wi-Fi, of course, is that you may or may not be on a safe network because you don't know who controls the access points or who's trying to spoof those access points. So you want to first of all make sure that any access point you connect to is a legitimate access point. See this all the time traveling, where you have two Wi-Fi access points that are very similar in spelling. This happened recently at a trip up in Sacramento. Notice there's a little bit of misspelling in the word Sacramento there. And the attempt is to try to get people to click on that one, where the attacker controls the Wi-Fi access point and then can intercept and see your traffic. So one of the things that we highly recommend is that if you are using any kind of public Wi-Fi access points, that you invest in a personal VPN. That way, the connection between your device and a trusted provider downstream is always encrypted, and it makes it impossible for someone in the middle to be able to see or intercept that traffic. Two VPN personal providers that are very popular and useful. One is F-Secure Freedom, the other is NordVPN. Both are very easy to use. Finally, let's talk about where your department stores its information. It's important that you understand where your department policy allows you to store information. You don't want to just go decide on your own, I'm going to put this information on Dropbox or some other location, or I'm going to send it to my personal email. Definitely you want to make sure where your department policy allows the storage of information and only store that information there. That way if something bad happens to that information, you're not responsible necessarily for that particular problem. Each department has an information security officer assigned, and that person is responsible for the business processes and the specific security of the information assets within your department. That person you should get to know, and I'll show you how to find out who that is in just a second. In the instance where you experience something that may be a security incident, you should contact that person first. If you can't get a hold of that person, then you can contact us by emailing security or calling our service desk at extension 1400. Our website is easy to find. If you go to the internal website and just put /security in front of it, you'll find the information security and privacy page. You can find all kinds of links and information here. You can also find the links to who is the information security officer within your department. Finally, we have done quite a bit of security awareness training in the county that has been very specialized, that has included hacking demos and tools and techniques that you can use, not just here at work, but also at home, on your personal systems, to arm you with a lot of tools and techniques and a lot of knowledge. These are a lot of fun. They're all available online via YouTube. We definitely suggest you check them out. You can share them with your friends. They're pretty cool stuff. So hope you enjoy those as well. If you have any questions with regards to any of this, please feel free to send an email to security. And we thank you for participating today. Take care.